Hello everyone and welcome back. My name is Greg Furman and this is the Forex Weekly Outlook for the week of September the 10th, 2018. Now, to get started this week, we're going to begin where we always do with that very important US dollar index. Now, as we can see with the dollar is recovering off a very strong non-farm payroll number. Average hourly earnings are up, U6 is down. There's nothing, in my respectful opinion, that was bad about that particular report. So the dollar is coming up against a very formidable resistance zone here. Here we have our verified resistance zone, the newest indicator from VantagePoint. And again, we're looking at that verified resistance zone between essentially the 95.40 and this upper level here, where we can see that that's coming in at or about the 96.45 area. So the dollar has some work ahead of it for next week, but it should be a positive week as the neural index is rising, the predicted differences are rising, and our predicted RSI is again above 50. You can see we've bounced directly off of this 50 level on the dollar index, and now we're breaking above the 60 level, showing momentum building in the market along with a close above the T-cross long 94.78. So things are looking positive for the dollar, but again, we still have a political climate that is not the best for the currency. So we'll see how this one plays out, but again, we are entering into a verified resistance zone, so some caution is definitely advised despite the fact we had a strong payroll number. Same thing would apply, the direct intermarket correlation we can see with gold here. Gold struggling to hold above that critical vantage point level at 1205. We're closing the week out here at 1200 basically per ounce. So, but the predicted differences are falling, our neural index is down, and our predicted RSI clearly very, very bearish, suggesting actually momentum is building to the downside. Now, this is also pulling the equity markets down. We don't have a verified resistance zone up here currently on the S&P 500, but we do have a confirmed top. We put that top in at 29.21. On the futures side, we've had 3 days testing that area, failing, and then we're moving lower. However, we are coming up against that key vantage point level, the 28.8041, the T-cross long area, and we have a verified support zone all the way down into this lower 28.08 area. So a corrective move lower appears to be in the cards right now, as all of the indicators, the differences, the predicted MACD, and the RSI are all pointing lower on this particular futures contract on the S&P 500. Now, oil, of course, right now, at least for now, is following the equity markets lower. We've had a tough week in oil as we hit into the vantage point. We can see we've got a verified resistance zone here. That's coming in again between 71.10 and this critical, even more critical zone up here at 71.61. Sellers just sitting there waiting for this in these verified zones here. We've turned lower. So likely oil is still going to hold above our verified support zone, which is all the way down in this $60 per barrel mark. Still looks okay for oil, but a corrective move likely coming. Now, as we come into our main currencies for next week, once again, you can see these moves from VantagePoint, very substantial moves, both up and down. But once again, we've hit into a verified resistance zone, a considerable amount of resistance actually, all the way up to 118.80. As we approach that area, we had another lower high. The euro has come down lower, but we're also entering into what is now a known support zone. That starts around 115 and goes all the way down to the 113.20 area, the most recent range bottom. So right now it would appear the euro is heading lower on dollar strength, but US Swiss franc is not following per se, and this is largely due to those equity markets selling off. But we're in a resistance zone here now that is recently formed. That resistance zone is coming in at or about the 97.67 area, but we're also, you can see, we're touching into this verified support zone that goes between 90, or basically about the 96 level and 96.55. Longs do carry a slight edge going into next week with that perceived dollar strength. Now, with the pound dollar for next week, be very cautious with this pair. It's falling prey to Brexit rumors. We've got verified resistance up to 131, about the 131.70 area, and we've got verified support down into the 126.85 area. We are smack dead in the middle, of a verified support and resistance zone. So a bit of a dangerous area here, but there's still a slight bias to the downside as our RSI cannot break above 60. And again, we're trapped in this area between verified support and verified resistance, this green and red areas. So watch for a break into either two of these areas, but we're likely going to see a slight bias to the downside going into next week. Now, with the dollar yen pair again is still following the equity markets. We have a verified resistance zone between 112.30 and 111.80. That continues to hold, also forming somewhat of a double top. But we are entering into a verified support zone also down that goes all the way down to 109.30, 109.80. But we've got a light support zone between 109.80 and basically 110.80. So we'll see if this zone can hold in here. But we're really quite neutral at this particular time. The dollar yen pair is looking for its next move from, of course, the global equity markets. Now, with our main commodity currencies this week, US CAD, while we do show a long on US Canada, looking at the VantagePoint indicators, they are quite mixed. The Neural Index is down as we enter into this verified resistance zone, very light resistance between up to about the 132.30 area, but very heavy resistance going up into this 133.80 area. So right now we are experiencing some light resistance in this zone. We'll see if we can push through to the second part of that zone, but again, the first part is holding, but the indicators from VantagePoint are getting a little bit tired as the Neural Index turns down. So we'll be watching this one very closely this week, but be very careful between the current levels and this 133 area because again, it is a verified resistance zone. Our support zone is starting all the way down at the VantagePoint T cross long at 130.81, and that moves all the way down to this zone here, which is coming in at or about the 128.87 mark. We'll see if this area down here can hold, but again, very mixed bag here at the current time. Now, with Aussie US and New Zealand US, you can see that we've got a heavy verified support zone down here. That level is coming in all the way down to this low point at 71.45, but on Friday we have pushed out of that verified support zone, suggesting the Aussie has further downside coming here, guys. So be careful with this pair. We are oversold. That is my only concern here as we push through this. But if we manage to slip back up inside this verified support zone, then the Aussie US should recover, but this pair will not recover unless the global equity markets do also. The same thing, guys, is going to apply to New Zealand US. It's doing a little bit better than Aussie US. The verified support zone here, that is shaded in. It's holding, but very loosely. The indicator, the T cross long here, 66.26. This is a big level here. So we're going to be watching this one very closely this week, but a lot of our trades will depend on the global equity markets and the direction they take next. So with that said, this is the Forex Weekly Outlook for the week of September the 10th, 2008.